this is Kenolytics and welcome to today's session. In today's brief video, we are going to see some basic ways in which we can prepare our data for analysis using the STATA platform. So assuming that you have a number of variables, in this case, we have 66 variables, and you realize that there's a particular variable that was not going to be needed in the analysis, and so you want to take it out. How do you do it? You also have a variable whose name or which name is not what you really relate well with. How would you be able to rename such variable? And finally, how you can be able to label your variable so as to make it easier for one to relate with, especially when the data leaves you to a different person to continue from where you stopped. So these three things are what we are going to see how to do using the STATA platform in this video. Let me take them again. One, we are going to see how we can rename a variable. We are going to see how we can delete a variable. And finally, we are going to see how we would label a variable. So now, let's browse to look at what variable we are dealing with. So we can use the browse option. So when you click on browse, straight away we have an option to look at the data set we are working with. So the data set has these variables at the top, the names at the top, and then the responses. Good. So this is what we have. Now, in this particular view, you cannot do any edits to it. So you realize when I am clicking to edit, it's not working. But then there's a particular view that you can that can enable you edits. And you can see the difference. So over here, we can change it. We can change. So you see when I double click it, it changes to 1 respectively. So that is how you can be able to twerk between just looking at it without editing and then actually making an edit to your variables. Now let's continue to see. So now the first thing, we want to rename a variable. So here we have a variable called occupation. We don't want it to be occupation, but rather employment status. So we are going to rename. So you use the code rename occupation. Then you type the new one. So employment status. Employment status. So we want occupation to be replaced with employment status. Let's click on it. So immediately we do that, you see that it is no longer occupation but rather employment status. So this is how you can be able to change the name of any variable in your code. Now, how about the second thing? So we realize that year, for example, is not necessary for our analysis. So to remove it from the variables that we have, we'll quickly just drop year. So we'll click on OK. So immediately we do that, you realize that year is no longer part of our variables. It has been removed. So we have been able to rename our variable. We have been able to drop a variable. Now we want to label a variable. So now, so we want to give a label to this by saying that this refers to the gender of our respondent. So sex, label sex with what gender of respondents. Yeah, this gives us syntax error. Let's see where the error is coming. Okay, so we label variable. So let's add variable. Label variable sex as, let's see if this one went good. So it was variable we didn't break. So label variable sex as this. So here you can see that there's a label given to it. So gender of respondent. Basically, we've been able to achieve our three objectives for this video. First, to be able to rename a variable. So we were able to rename our variable, which was occupation, to employment status. And two, we wanted to drop any variable that we not need in the analysis. To do that, we dropped year. And finally, we wanted to label one variable with a label to make it easier for anyone that's going to continue with our analysis to be able to know what each of the variable name refers to. To do that, you click on what, or you type label variable, then the variable name, and then you give the description or the label you want to ascribe to it. This is how you can be able to do these three things in using the STATA platform. If you find it useful, we encourage you to subscribe to the channel. We encourage you to turn on the post notification bell so you're always notified whenever a new video is released. And if you're a returning subscriber, keep coming to learn from the channel. Until we meet again on our next one, this is Catalytics, and it's a bye.